Welcome to Magical Insights 888, where spirit meets history, truth meets healing, and the veil is lifted. Today we're not just talking facts, we're reclaiming our throne. This content is for educational, historical, and spiritual insights. All views expressed are rooted in historical research, cultural exploitation or exploration, and personal truth. We do not promote hate or division, only awareness, unity, and ancestral healing. Why the world fears blackness. Why do so many people hate black people, even though we've helped everyone? We nursed their children. We gave them freedom movements. We fought for rights that benefited everybody. And yet we're still asking, why doesn't it matter when we make change? Because the world was programmed to profit off us, not praise us. It was all engineered. Anti-Blackness was exported, and black brilliance was buried, but not destroyed. America, we have a problem. This is an open letter from the spirit of the forgotten but never defeated. By Magical Insights 888. America, we need to talk. Not in protest, not in begging, but in truth. You see, we've marched, we've bled, we've died in every war, even the one against us. We've nursed your children, built your highways, invented your future, all while being told we don't belong in it. Black people, the sons and daughters of the enslaved, have never been your problem. We were your soul. We still are. But now the blame has shifted again. Some of the very people who benefited from our struggle, who walked through the doors we opened with our pain, now turn to us and say, why aren't you protesting for us? Why aren't you angry for us? Why aren't you marching for us? Let me be clear. We are not your enemy, but we are not your mule either. To the immigrants, the refugees, the marginalized, we see you. We know struggle. But don't forget, it was our movement that made yours possible. It was black pain that opened the gates to your rights. It was our blocked instances. It was our blood that inked the civil rights. The laws you now stand on. It was our endurance that birthed a path for all oppressed peoples. And yet, when our children are gunned down, when our communities are militarized, when our identities are mocked and monetized, where are you? You want to protest for your deportations, your suffering, your visibility. But some of you have been silent in our oppression. Or worse, have aligned yourself with systems that erase us. So let's be honest. You're angry, and rightfully so. I'm angry for you. But don't misplace your anger onto us. We don't build this system. We were buried beneath it. If you want to fight, fight smart. Don't call for protests that feed chaos. Don't incite movements that lead to martial law. Don't ask Black people to be the front line in battles you're not willing to show up for in our return. Instead, fight through policy, speak through platforms, boycott what exploits you, learn the system, heal your mind, uplift our shared humanity. Because when you fight with us instead of asking us to fight for you, real transformation happens. And to America, stop using Black faces to sell your freedom while killing Black futures behind the scenes. Stop pitting the oppressed against each other to keep your empire running. Stop pretending this courtesy was ever just when justice was never started at the foundation.
Now you need to go.
America, we have a problem, and it's spiritual, systemic, and self-inflicted. But there's still time to face it. This is a call to healing. To the nations who live among us, don't blame Black people. Walk beside us. Don't demand our labor. Offer your protection. Don't fear our power. Respect its source. We are tired, not because we're weak, but because we've carried the world's burdens for generations. Now we rest. Now we build. Now we reclaim. This time, we rise on our own terms. And when we rise, you will too. But only if you stop seeing us as the problem and start seeing us as the blueprint. Now I'm going to answer some questions that you may be asking yourselves. Were some Africans or Native Americans, shall we call them, already in America before the slave trade? The answer is yes. Strong evidence suggests African presence in the Americas pre-Columbus. There were the Olmecs and pre-Columbian African presidents between the years of 12,000 BCE to 400 BCE. The Olmecs, one of the earliest Mesoamerican civilizations, are known for creating colossal stone heads with distinctly of African American features with broad noses and full lips. Several scholars like Dr. Ivan van Sertima, author of They Came Before Columbus, argue that West Africans, particularly Mandingo sailors under Mansa Abubakar II of Mali, reached the Americas in the 1300s, decades before Columbus. Columbus himself wrote in his journals that the native peoples told him of black-skinned people who came from the southeast by boat, trading in gold-tipped spears. They were black in Americas before 1492, written by Dr. Ivan van Sertima. There were also indigenous Moors and copper-colored natives pre-1500s. The 1828 Webster's Dictionary defines America as a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. Many African Americans were or may descend from these copper-colored Aboriginal tribes. The Yamasee, the Washita, the Cherokee, the Choctaw, the Blackfoot, and the Seminole. These tribes often had African features, leading to confusion or denial of their indigenous status in colonial and modern records. Moors from North and West Africa were known navigators and seafarers. It's plausible that they had cultural exchange with the Americas centuries earlier. The Moors and their ancient legacy. The Moors were black Muslims of North Africa who ruled Spain and parts of Europe from 711 to 1492. They preserved science, mathematics, medicine, astronomy, navigational technology that later enabled European exploitation. Some claim Moorish scientists and seafarers helped map the Atlantic and pass knowledge to the indigenous tribes in the Americas. The term Moor became rationalized by the 1500s. Many Moors were enslaved or labeled Negro as a way to erase their advanced history. Many slaves were already Americans. Many African Americans were never bought on ships. They were indigenous people reclassified as Negroes during the early slave codes. The Indian Removal Acts and the Dawes Rolls purposely erased Native heritage and pushed Black Native tribes off their lands. Some scholars estimate that millions of Black Native Americans were enslaved or absorbed into the African American identity through paper genocide. Who were the first true settlers in America? According to the history that I've researched, they were Olmecs in Mexico in 1200 BCE. The Ouachita Nation were in the Mississippi Valley, prehistoric. The Yamasee and the Seminole Nations, usually in Florida and Georgia area, these were ancient tribes of Moorish descent. Mandanica, I hope I'm saying that correct, sailors were part of the Mali Empire in the 1300s, possibly earlier. The Phoenicians and Carthaginians were North African traders, and they may have sailed across the Atlantic through Canary currents. So what does this mean for the African American, who I call the indigenous original American identity? You are not just descendants of slaves. You are descendants of kings, queens, emperors, empresses, astronomers, doctors, builders, seafarers. Many of your ancestors were already on this land before colonizers arrived. Some of your ancestors may have been Moors from North Africa, Olmec descended from native tribes, Aboriginal Americans with copper-colored races. I don't call them Aboriginal, I'll call them the original. There's a different name to Aboriginal. You gotta look up those root words. Anyway, Mandinka explorers. You may have even been part of Hebrews or spiritual practitioners of ancient African religions. Here are some selected resources and readings that you can look into. They Came Before Columbus by Dr. Ivan Sertima. African Presence in Early America, same author. When Rocks Cry Out by Horace Butler. Nature Knows No Color Line by J.A. Rogers. Moorish Science Temple of America, Teachings of Moorish Identity in America. American Indian Negro Classification Records. Look in the Dawes Roll. Trace back from your mother. Trace your mom, her mom's mom. Trace it back until you can't trace it anymore through the birth certificate. So in my research, hate against Black people or indigenous people was not natural. It was manufactured for profit, power, and control. Colonialism and slavery needed a justification for exploring Africans. So Europe constructed white tea, to frame Black people as inferior, subhuman, or savage. I know a lot of y'all, when y'all came here into America, was told not to talk to us. You were told that we were dangerous and that we were inferior to every race. I have friends from other nationalities who have told me that until they got to meet us and know us. So, over time, anti-Blackness became globalized, even in countries where few Black people even lived. So they colonized the land, the mind, and the mirror by an unknown author. I won't take the credit for that because that was not written by me. Blackness represents power and threatens fragile systems. Our resilience, brilliance, and spirit are deeply feared. Black people set trends, we create culture, and resist oppression. So corrupt systems respond with suppression since we overcome their oppression. The world imitates Blackness, but often denies its value when it comes from us. So now we're going to go on to internationalized racism and anti-Blackness in other communities. Other marginalized groups are often taught that to gain status, they must distance themselves from Blackness. Immigrant communities are sometimes offered conditional acceptance if they don't be like Black Americans. This keeps colonial hierarchy alive, creating lateral oppression. What have Black people contributed to the world? Everything, literally. Ancient Africans birthed the first civilizations: Nubia, Kemet, Egypt, Mali, Carthage. Created early mathematics, astronomy, medicine, agricultural, and spiritual systems. Notice they changed your name and made you change it to Kuta. Modern inventions and innovation. For example, the traffic light, made by Garrett Morgan. The blood bank, made by Charles Drew. The home security system, Mary Van Britten Brown. The gas mask, the air conditioning, the automatic elevator doors, iron smelting, and more. So anyway, let's move on to music and soul. Jazz, blues, rock and roll, R&B, hip hop, gospel, all Black rooted. Global pop culture stands on the shoulders of Black creativity. So let's move on to social movements. Civil rights, Pan-Africanism, Black Power, Black Lives Matters, all global templates for justice movements, but shamed in public. Black leaders that fought not only for us, but also set the tone for human rights globally. Here's a quote from Tamika Mallory. When Black people move, the world shifts. So my next question to you, why doesn't it feel like it matters? Because the system wasn't built to reward your contribution. It was built to use it, steal it, and then erase you from the credit. They stole your music, your inventions, your movements, and magic, and gave the trophy to someone else. You've been exhausted trying to prove your power in a world that profits from pain. How can it be fixed? Because we tired. Number one, caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. That was a quote from Audre Lorde. I could be mispronouncing the name, but look it up. Rest your soul. Rest your lineage. You do not have to carry the burden alone. You know how we are honoring our ancestors? By thriving. Build, create, speak, reclaim your power. Our ancestors survived so you could rise. And rising doesn't always mean fighting. Sometimes it means breathing, healing, and thriving. Build safe spaces for us, whether it's online, offline, spiritual, creative. Ask the next man or woman in the grocery store, are you okay? Because you don't know how their day went. Stop blowing at the person in front of you because they might have just got fired. Your mission from today forward is to teach the truth, but not from a place of needing to be loved. You are not here to be tolerated. You are here to transform, awaken, and rise. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a key to humanity's future. Despite centuries of genocide, Black people, who I'll call natives, the indigenous, not aboriginal, but the original, we will still rise. We will still create culture from scraps. We will love deeply in spite of hate. We will stand tall with our roots cut but still intact, if you know what I mean. We will still birth beauty even in the brokenness. To my people, you are not invisible. You are internal. I love you. Hold your head up high